Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever. Today we're going to be having a look at the brand new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Skeletor. Now these are from the new CGI series on Netflix. Now anybody who's watched the CGI show knows that Skeletor and his cronies actually tap into the power of chaos for their very own style of transformations so that they can bulk out and power up just like He-Man and his crew. I think this is a great change, and we'll see if these figures are accurate representations of what they did in the show. Looking at the front of the packaging, Skeletor, of course, utilizes artwork from the show with a CGI model present in the top corner. On the front, we have the Power Attack moniker, which is, as I always have to mention, a leftover copyright Mattel still owns from their old Batman line back in the day. And on the back, we get a little bit about his action features. And here we have old Skullface in all of his cartoony glory. Of course, you can instantly tell the kinship between he and He-Man's revised designs for the new CGI show. Both of them are bulkier than we have probably ever seen them before. I have to say, Skeletor is looking good, even though it does look like he has definitely been juicing or something. He's huge and he's very accurate to the new design in the show. There's several things going on that I really like about the design work from the new series. One of them is that they retain all of the classic coloration of the original Skeletor design, whether it's that kind of light ghostly green for the face or the purple and the blue. Things look very accurate. What they don't retain, however, is Skeletor actually being a Gar, and he's just kind of a regular white dude in the show when he's Keldor. Some new things about the design that I really like. One of them is that there's kind of a molten lava effect on the neck, and I think that's spectacular. I also really like how one of Skeletor's hands is kind of exposed bone. It's sort of skeletal in a way, and I like that, as if there's kind of a consequence for using this dangerous magic. I also like the new belt buckle right there. That's cool. And that the chest harness has almost like a skull face on it, like a perversion of the powers of Grayskull. The Havoc staff is just as traditional as it about can be, just done in more of an animated style. And a neat little touch, at the bottom of the Havoc staff, we can actually see an extra skull down there. So I actually like that quite a bit. Hilariously, if you turn the Havoc staff around, Mattel was saving just a little bit of money by hollowing it out right here on the inside. So maybe they saved an extra 2 cents per figure. You never know. Every bit counts, right? And I like how it almost looks like dragons or snakes are wrapping their way around his shoulders and then curling up right under his arm to almost complete the harness there. I also like how Skeletor has just kind of monster feet down there. And that, combined with the purple pants and the dark accents, I think it's just a really great design, and I think it comes off even better than He-Man in some ways. So I really like what they did design-wise. Sculpt, I think, is very accurate to the show, and clearly probably the result of some sort of digital asset, if I had to guess. Paint application isn't quite as strong as the sculpt itself, but it's not horrible. You can see that they have most of the main details painted or represented in some sort of colored plastic that is accurate. However, there's certain things that are left out. Most notably is that they've opted not to do any kind of wash or paint detailing right here in the mouth. If nothing else, they should have painted the side section of the jaw right there some sort of black or something to give the proper look for the teeth being in the front like this. As it stands, it just looks like a solid skull, even though that is not the case right there. They also did not paint in the black for the nose hole, and it is indeed a nose hole, as we know of Skeletor. I think that really hurts the look of the skull quite a bit because they couldn't be bothered to do it. However, when this review is over, I will be doing that myself. I think that it's a really easy fix, and you shouldn't have to do that kind of thing yourself. But I will be, because I think it just respects the sculpt and respects the design a little bit of the show. All right, now that we've talked about details, let's talk about the articulation. So the head, actually, I don't think it turns. If it does, cool, but it feels glued in. And not that you'd be able to really anyway, because this hood is a part of the body armor. But it doesn't really feel like it wants to turn. And honestly, I don't feel like breaking mine to see if it would. I like it because it is at least looking straight ahead, so that's good. If it were crooked or looking off to the side, I would have tried to have fixed it. So I'm glad that at least it's on there straight. The arms can go up about this far till it's stopped by his shoulder armor here. If you go to the back, once again, it's stopped about this far. So that's about all you can do, but it's understandable to get this look. Maybe they should have just had this sculpted on top of the arm so you could have brought it the rest of the way. But I think this is just about high enough for what he needs to do. The other arm is exactly the same. Now, disappointingly, you can't bring them out with any kind of hinge or anything like that. I feel like that's the missing articulation point for both he and He-Man that really would have helped these things be a lot more fun and feel a lot more posable. And it's just not there, so it's a big disappointment. We do have a swivel here at the wrist and at the upper arm, I guess, for the skeleton hand. We do get plenty of articulation right here at the torso, but there's a catch. Just like with He-Man, it is a kind of snapback sort of deal. It almost feels like a really tight O-ring on an old G.I. Joe. It can twist this far, and then you let it go, snaps back, twist this far, let it go this far back, and this far forward. So there are some cool options here, and I think kids are going to have a good time with this as they make them fight one another. If you look, especially putting in the Havoc staff in the hand, Skeletor can do some cool stuff with the staff, and it's very easy to make it look like he's attacking using that staff like it shows on the back. You can only hope that the kind of elastic in these or whatever they're using will not wear out over time. Moving on down, he has the same articulation as He-Man, because with the legs, they're both on a ball joint. You can go up about that far, which is pretty good. You can do a split motion, which is very effective. You can do complete splits with Skeletor right there. You can see down there the ball and hinge system. You can bring them in that close to one another. There's even an ankle swivel right here. So you can get him in some pretty far out poses, and he still stands. That's pretty good for a basic kid's toy like this, but if you try to put the legs out with one back and one forward, it becomes a little more complicated. However, with the ankle swivels, you're at least able to sort of support him in some of these poses, even if the feet have to do funny things. So I think it's pretty effective for what they're trying to do. It's not super articulated because, of course, there's nothing at the knees or anything like that. But I think for just a basic action figure, it's fun, and especially the thing with the waist. I think that's really fun, but you're not going to be able to hold those poses. Still pretty cool. And size-wise, you can see that Skeletor is just exactly the right scale for this He-Man. He-Man is ever so slightly taller, just as he should be. Of course, they're both transformed brutes by different magic sources, so I think it works really well, and they look terrific together. I could sit here all day and compare him with the many different Skeletors that I own, but there's not much of a point because we know that this guy is in the smaller scale. So you know that he's going to look very small compared to like Masters of the Universe Classics and Revelation and things like that. The most apt comparison is with the Origin Skeletor, and by default, your original Skeletor, since they're so similar. You can see that he's not quite as big as the Origins line. Skeletor comes up probably about 1/4 of an inch short when compared to your standard figure. Of course, if you do put the legs out a little bit more like his are, then you can see that they're a little closer. Still, though, it's cool to see them together, and I definitely think that he's a good update for what the original was going for. Not bad. There's no Panther yet necessarily in this line, but I thought it would be fun to see if he would work with the Origins version. And of course, he works plenty well enough. If this is something you're interested in doing, it would work just fine. And if you really want to, Skeletor can ride in the Origins Land Shark with no problem, so that is also an option. If you really want him to, Skeletor can ride Battle Cat right here. The front loincloth piece does plug in to that saddle port here, and he's really fairly secure on there. Now, that's a stable connection. So if you want them to have a temporary alliance of some sort, it works, and the scale works really nicely too. So yeah, actually looks good. Overall, Skeletor is a really fun update, and I think it's just going to come down to whether or not you like this new design. I happen to really enjoy it, so for me, he was definitely worth the $10. And for that price, I think they're a very good value. You get some cool accessories, you get some great sculpts, and some decent paint application to make these a pretty easy purchase. I definitely think Mattel should focus on these Power Attack figures moving forward. They seem to be the much better selling scale that I've seen and the much more appealing price point that I've seen. You should be able to find these at Walmart. Alright friends, that'll do it for me. I sure do hope you've enjoyed the review today. Of course, be on the lookout because very soon I will be covering some of the other figures in the CGI He-Man series, so I really hope that you look forward to seeing that very soon. And as usual, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know not only what you think of these figures, but also what you think of this new CGI He-Man series. Are you enjoying it like I am and seeing it as kind of a gateway for young kids to get into He-Man? Or are you not really getting much out of it and would much prefer to see Masters of the Universe Revelation continue than the impending Season 2 of the CGI series, which was recently confirmed? Of course, be sure to watch my other He-Man videos, as I have much more Masters of the Universe content right here on Fanboys Forever. As always, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.